I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. VR Mehta, who's part of the Tata Trust. Mr. Mehta, welcome to ET Now. I need to understand the concerns that have been raised by the Tata Trust about the way things were going within the Tata Group lately.
Yes. You see, the main concern was that we as a group of trusts spend money on philanthropic activities. And the source of that money for us is the dividends that we receive from Tata Sons. So, and also that we are two-thirds owners of Tata Sons. So, in that sense, our concern was that the company's profits, Tata Sons, profits and thereby the dividends payable to us were dependent on the performance and the profits of Tata Sons. And what we are finding is that this is getting more and more dependent on the profits of two of the Tata Group companies. One is the Tata Consultancy Services, and the other is the Jaguar Land Rover in UK. The rest of the companies have not been performing well, and in that sense, our concern was that if these two companies also do not continue to raise the same kind of profits or profitability, which is not unusual since there are business cycles in all these industries, and if they run into rough weather or headwinds, then the profits available for distribution to shareholders for Tata Sons, and we are the two-thirds owners, so we will get those shares, those dividends. There is a possibility that those could further diminish. Now, this was the main concern that was highlighted or brought to the notice of the Tata Sons management.
I get your concerns. In fact, today, the people who run two of the most successful companies, as you mentioned, TCS and Jaguar Land Rover, the two CEOs have been inducted into the board of Tata Sons. But I need to understand, has this matter been taken up with Cyrus Mistry, and what has been the response from him?
Well, I can only say that these concerns are raised with Mr. Mistry, but the response was not what we would have expected.
Verma, was there...
Yeah. Think of the concerns
yeah.
Did not take place.
Mr. Mehta, this was for the first time that the chairman of the board and the chairman of the trust, they were two separate individuals. So in that sense, was there a bit of a conflict there?
No, there's no conflict as such, but the communication should be there between the two. That's all.
So you mean to say there was not much of a communication from Cyrus Mistry? He never briefed the Tata Sons about the goings-on in the Tata Group?
No, Tata Sons is the company he was heading. So that is a different matter. Tata Trusts, we raised some concerns, and those were not adequately addressed. That was the problem.
And when it comes to Cyrus Mistry, when you pointed out the fact that most of the group companies were laggards, what are the steps he undertook to make sure that other companies also fall in line? Had you suggested steps to him to make sure that all other companies also start firing?
Yes, that was the idea. But we are not going into the operations of the Tata Sons as such. We can only raise our concerns with him. Rest, what is to be done, we left it to him to do.
And Mr. Verma, if you could also tell us about the kind of communication flow that was there between Cyrus and Tata Trust, because we understand that there was not much of a communication from him when it comes to how he looked at enhancing value for the shareholders, and Tata's Trust was a big shareholder for the Tata Group.
Yeah, that is true. See, this has a historical background because earlier when Mr. Tata was chairman of Tata Sons, he was also the chairman of the trust. And some of the senior directors on Tata Sons board were also trustees on the trust. So no formal mechanism existed. Even though no formal mechanism existed, the flow of information back and forth was easy, automatic. But once the two individuals were different, then there was no mechanism for such a regular interaction.
And Mr. Mehta, if you could also point out, for example, when Mr. Ratan Tata was at the helm of Tata Sons, what were the kind of interactions between him and the trust, and how did it change once Cyrus Mistry took over?
As I told you, Mr. Ratan Tata would also be sitting as chairman of the board, chairman of the trust board. So he would have all the information from the Tata Trust, Tata Sons, and will be able to give those inputs whenever required by the trust. So there is no need for a formal link.
And Mr. Mehta, I mean, when it comes to the concerns raised by the Tata Trust, is that one reason why Cyrus Mistry had to go?
Oh, there were other reasons also. I mean, but the main prime concern was the performance also.
And if you could also highlight some of the other reasons which you thought actually didn't quite protect the interests of Tata Trusts.
See, Tata Trust, as I told you, the philanthropic work, that mainly is dependent on dividends that we receive from Tata Sons. And so that is our bread and butter. And we are taking very new, Mr. Ratan Tata is driving technology-driven programs and projects which can have an impact on scale. So basic thing is that our, inflow of dividends should be regular, and in fact it should increase so that we can also increase our activities. We have now set up a design and technology center in MIT, which is doing great research work, and we have the Indian partner of the Indian Institute of Technology at Mumbai. And similarly, we have set up another center in University of California, San Diego, for active genetics and society. Now, those investments, there also we're doing some very high-end research on vector-borne diseases and cancer, etc. So all this investment and the sustaining of those investments has to have that backup. That is the main thing. I would rather not go into the other details.
I understand, Mr. Mehta. In fact, when it comes to lack of communication between the chairman of the Tata Group and the Tata Trusts, when did you come to the conclusion that enough is enough? I mean, this cannot continue.
Well, you see, this has been, the concerns have been there for some time. And now, I suppose we had reached a stage where we felt that if we left the matter to drift on, then it may not be good for us and also for the Tata Sons business. After all, Tata Sons business has relevance for us both as a shareholder and as a trust activity.
But sir, if you could give some sense as to when did it start? I mean, was it a year back? Was it 6 months back? Since when have things come to a head?
I wouldn't call it come to a head, but I would definitely say that this whole of this year, it has been a matter of concern.
And this is something that you also shared with the other directors of Tata Sons?
No, we don't directly share with Mr.
So it was for Mr. Ratan Tata to communicate directly with Mr. Cyrus Mistry?
Mr. Cyrus Mistry, yes. Yes.
And you don't see much was not forthcoming?
There were communications from the trush to the Tata Sons also.
And what were those communications like, and what has been the response from there?
Sorry, what is that?
What were the communications like, and what has been the kind of response that you got from Cyrus Mistry?
No, as I told you earlier, that the communications expressed the concern on the profits and our dividends largely, and they were not adequately addressed. The response was not adequate. This should sum up the thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mehta. On that note, it's wonderful speaking to you, and thanks for clarifying the aspects, the concerns that Tata Trust had raised about the goings-on in the Tata Group led by Cyrus Mistry.
Yes, I don't want to use the word goings-on. See, that has a connotation which I would not like to convey.
Okay. On that note, thank you very much, sir.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.